Hello and welcome to my Britain's Got Talent Series 19, Episode 6 recap and review. My name is Marsinger Homie, content creator and the host of Marsinger Homie's Recap and Review podcast, where I talk about TV, music, celebrities, and so much more. If this is your first time tuning into my podcast and listening on Spotify, please download the episode and follow the podcast, or if you're watching this on YouTube, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. And remember, you can always follow me on my social media platforms, which is my Instagram at MarsingerHomie and my YouTube channel, which is MarsingerHomie. All of it is available in the thumbnail of the podcast if you're listening on Spotify. So, it is week 6 for the auditions of Britain's Got Talent Series 19, and let me tell you, we're getting closer and closer to the live shows, which are starting in less than 3 weeks' time. And boy, oh boy, am I excited for that! I can't believe how quickly the auditions have been so far this year. It's been crazy, and I have to say, this week's episode was probably the most bonkers episode I've ever watched in my life, because we've had some quite interesting acts, to say the least. We had mousetraps to recorders, we had just the crazy stuff, but we also had some brilliant acts. And Stacey pressed her golden buzzer, and of course, you don't know who I'm talking about. Stacey Soloman was back on the panel this week for a bit, and she hit her own golden buzzer, similar to when KSI was the judge last year when he was a guest, which I know. And I think to have Stacey giving the shot of a golden buzzer, I thought was awesome. So she pressed it for an act today, and I must admit, maybe I wasn't 100%. I didn't personally think they were the right act, but I'm not complaining it in a way, because I think they were a very nice act for sure. But without any further ado, let's get into this week's episode of Britain's Got Talent Series 19, starting off with the first act of the night. And for me, in my opinion, this was the best act of the night as well, which was the Welsh Masters team. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but here I'm saying it's the Welsh Masters team, who are an acrobatic group from Switzerland. They're aged 18 to 39 years old, and this was actually the act I was really excited to see. Watch when I first saw this in the trailers and the other promos, that I was so excited to see them, and this was they were absolutely incredible. So for their audition, they did an acrobatic routine, which had them tossing members in the air, and they were flipping them with big old trumpets, like bigger mattresses, and then they started catching them, jumping between members, and then they were also being caught by other members, performing cartwheels before finishing off with their performance by forming 2 independent human towers to end off the performance, which you can see, which I have the image looking at here. And I was blown away by these guys. I thought they were absolutely tremendous. Alicia mentioned that she really appreciates the high-risk stuff they were doing. And Simon said it was brilliant because he saw so much effort that went into it. And I could not agree more with the judges. For me, this was an epic way to kick off the night. And for me, this was my number one act of the night. I thought they were absolutely remarkable. The whole act was just incredible. They were just phenomenal, and coming from someone who loves seeing these type of acts on the show, the whole routine I thought was absolutely sensational. From the cartwheels, the flipping, the acrobatics, everything about this act was just mind blowing. They blew me away with this performance, and I think this is the perfect act for the Royal Variety. I've always wanted to have an act like this headline at the Royal Variety, and I thought they were just remarkable. They're absolutely incredible, and honestly, it's definitely, without a doubt, one of my favorite acts of the series so far. They were just I was honestly shocked that they didn't get a golden buzzer, because for me, if I was a judge on the panel, I would have easily given this a golden buzzer, because I thought they were incredible. It's honestly one of the most exciting acts I've seen this year, and I think to see them in the live show, if they don't get to the live shows, I think it would be criminal, because I think they could be potential dark horses to be possible finalists. I honestly believe that. And I thought the whole routine was absolutely incredible, and just everything about this performance was a 10 out of 10. They were just absolutely phenomenal. And again, I think, coming from someone who loves acrobatic acts, I thought they were just sensational. The whole routine, and I could tell, like Simon mentioned, I could tell how much effort was put into this act. It was just absolutely tremendous. Everything of the whole act, from the tricks to the flips, everything, the whole production value for this was absolutely out of this world. They were absolutely incredible, and I honestly think they could go far this series, and I'm hoping that they go a long way because they are just incredible. Next up, we had the Maverick Magicians, who are a magic trio here, and we'll just get them up here. So they consist of 3 members here of Edwin, AK, and Jamie. They're aged between 23 to 37, and of course they are a magic group, a magic trio to say the least. And and Edwin mentioned that they've all been mates for a while, and Edwin also explained that they just want to put as many smiles on their face as possible, and they could take it to the biggest stages in the world. So I feel it was an awesome answer, and I loved this act they did. I thought it was a brilliant act here. So for their audition, they asked KSI to think of a word secret piece, a one word secret piece of information which would be impossible for anyone to know, to know about before writing it down. He then scrunched it up and then hold it into his fist, and then they basically the 3 of them basically would basically kind of said to talk about talk about the watermelon. They were like, oh, let's bring out the watermelon, and then after that, they were wondering where it was, and Jamie was like, oh wait, I've just realised I forgot to collect it. I was like, Jamie, you silly goose. And then they he took Simon out to go buy a melon, and by the way, some of the people that ran up to get a photo with Simon was just pretty funny. Like, I mean, can you imagine going out as part of an act, having people stop in the streets to take a photo of you? Like, it's just crazy. And then once they got to the shops, Jamie then showed Simon that all he had was toy money, which his niece gave to him before he transformed it into real money, which was awesome. And then Edwin was then tasked KSI to basically unscrunch that piece of paper of information to reveal the name Roshni, which is a primary school friend of his, and that he had in primary school. And then they had KSI basically come onto the stage, then read the note, and then had this big hammer, and then KSI basically smashed that melon to reveal the piece of paper which indeed had Roshni written on it. And I was just I could not believe how they did that. I had no idea how they got the piece of paper in the melon. I had no clue. It was just mind blowing, to say the least. So KSI mentioned that he's lost for words, and it was incredible. And Amanda mentioned that it was really exciting and it was refreshing and clever, which I definitely agree with what the judges said here. I think this year, I've said before, this year is without doubt the year of magic, and these guys just proved that, because I thought the whole routine was really well presented, and I love the way they did it outside, with interacting with Simon. I thought that was really cool. I love when they take the magic outside. I think it's awesome. It kind of reminds me of Trixie from 2024 and Harry Maulding, the winner of last year. So, and again, the whole melon thing was just crazy. I don't know how they would have got a melon into this. I don't know how they would have got the name rushing into a melon that. He literally could have picked any melon out there, and I just don't know. I was just so impressed with this whole act. It was definitely, it was absolutely brilliant, and I think this year just proves why this year is the year of magic, because we've had so many good magic acts this year, and yeah, for these guys they just proved that it was a fantastic routine. I think that they could be a serious contender if they make it to the live shows, because I think having a magic group, the 3 of them, I think is awesome. And yeah, I thought it was a brilliant act. I was seriously impressed by them, and yeah, I thought it was a fantastic first audition, and I can't wait to see what they bring next, because I've got a very good feeling about this group here, because I think they could go very far, especially if they up the ante in the live shows. But I think these guys got real promise, and I think the whole audition was absolutely brilliant. And now we go on to the first rejected act of the episode, which was Alan Magur Azad, who is a singer, aged 31. He works as an IT engineer, and he is from Essex. Before his audition, he basically explains how he wrote songs in his time, and he has basically never performed in front of an audience before. And he also explained how he kind of tweaked the song prior to his audition, hence why he had the lyrics on a piece of paper for the sake of guidance. Which, bless his heart, by the way, I think we've all been in that situation where we have like a piece of paper with the lyrics on. So, but for his performance, he did an original song called "I Am the Funny Man," which is a basically an original song about being a funny man, I guess. But his performance was indeed buzzed by KSI, and he said he mentioned if he had said Simon, he wouldn't have buzzed. And Alicia mentioned it was in a very strange way she enjoyed it. And when Amanda jokingly asked, "Oh, have you got a second song?" then KSI basically pressed Stacey and Alicia and Amanda's gone buzzers on their behalf, basically buzzing him off. And unfortunately, he didn't go through to the next round, which, to be honest, I think it just didn't really go really much anywhere. I think good on him for giving it a go, but at the same time, it wasn't anything special in my opinion. It just wasn't the best. But of course, credit where credit is due. He did well for doing what he did. I thought he definitely brought the vibes, and I do think he's very likable as well. So massive respect to him for doing what he did. But unfortunately, this wasn't for him, in my opinion. Next up, we had Crystal Herrera, who is a singer. She's aged 32, and she is she's actually she's from West Yorkshire. In Halifax, if that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry. But she's aged 32. She's a singer and a performer. And when she was asked, what her ambition was, she told that she would want to perform in front of the king. And I gotta say, this performance here, of all the vocal performances we had tonight, this was up there as the best of the best, especially for the episode. So she did a rendition of "Run to You" by Whitney Houston, which is, by the way, one of the greatest songs ever. Whitney Houston is literally an absolute icon. And The Bodyguard is where that song's from. I love The Bodyguard. It's a brilliant, brilliant film. And she absolutely blew the house down with this performance. She was absolutely incredible. And Amanda mentioned what she found extraordinary was that how little and shrunk she was, and when she sang, she turned into a complete diva. And Stacey mentioned that she really hopes she gets more confidence because she is incredible. And I think I literally have the same words as they did, because I thought she, it takes a lot of guts to sing a Whitney song, and I basically nailed it. And she not only nailed it, but she blew the roof off. I thought the rendition was just incredible. Her voice is amazing, and I had goosebumps literally all over me listening to her sing. And she had that drama to her. She had everything, and I mean everything to her. She was just amazing. And I really hope this gives her the confidence boost she needs, because she's just got it. She really has got everything to her, and I think if she can hold that confidence into her, I think she could go a long way in the competition. I thought she was just amazing. She was absolutely incredible. And again, I cannot wait to see what she does next. I think I can already visualize her doing certain songs that I think would just be incredible for her to do. And yeah, I just thought she was incredible. Absolutely fantastic voice, and she made that song her own, and she performed it absolutely justice. Next up, we had probably the act that really surprised me this week, and that was Asko, who is a DJ, as well as who also has an orchestra, who's basically a DJ who has an orchestra, and and he is from Italy. And when he was asked about participating for the show, he mentioned to win, and he said he wanted to show something that the show's never seen before. And I did not know what to expect from these guys, but let me tell you, this was so unexpected but brilliant at the same time. So he conducted both a choir and an orchestra to perform a Requiem, um, uh, but which is iconic song, and Messa de Requiem. I do not know. This is just on the fandom here. But it's basically classical music. You know, I think I've heard the first one before a few times before. It's the one that Karen and Carlos did that routine to on Blackpool Week for Strictly last year, and the other one I had no idea what it is. But then then before then doing this techno style remix to both the songs. And let me tell you, I loved everything about this, you know, from the production value and the way they had both genres mixed together. I thought was genius. So Amanda mentioned that the orchestration was amazing, the choir was stunning, and he is so charismatic. But Alicia actually disagreed here, which I was shocked about, and she mentioned that she's a huge fan of different genres blended together, but it didn't set her world on fire in a way that she wanted it to. And I disagree. I actually disagree completely with Alicia here. Like I thought it was epic. Even Amanda said it was epic, and just the way they crossed between both classical music and like techno remix stuff, I thought was so genius. And I just think it's so cool how they did it. And you know, the whole production value with the fire, you know, the backdrop, everything. It was just incredible. The whole performance was sensational. Again, I don't know if could this be in that be in the semi-finals. I'm not too sure. I would love it if they were to, but it was just incredible. It was absolutely just unbelievable. I thought it was so cool, so different, and it really stands out to some of the acts we've had this year, and it makes them different. I think it's a very different act, and just the whole again the whole act itself I thought was so cool, and just yeah, I was really impressed by that. I really enjoyed this. And next up, we had, in my opinion, the worst act of the night, which actually got through, which I'm quite perplexed about. But and that was Leroy Patterson, who is a stunt performer. And he's from Los Angeles, and he's been on quite a few Got Talent shows over the years. He's been on AGT back in season 10. He's done Germany's Got Talent, France Got Talent. He's done The Gong Show. He's done Spain's Got Talent. Just yeah, quite a few shows here. So interesting. So we got to talk about his performance here because it was quite interesting to say the least. So basically, he basically did some of these stunts. He basically slammed into a pile of active mousetraps. Which, by the way, how 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 do you get yourself in mousetraps? That must be the worst pain imaginable. And then he sat on a chair filled with carpet tack strips, which again, and then dodged an active tunnel of weed strimmers, and then just again, and he did it to Danger High Voltage by Electric Six from Charlie's Angels. Never heard that song before, but Alicia and Stacey buzzed the performance, which I was quite happy about because I didn't want to see him go in any more pain anymore. But KSI remarked that he wanted something that made him squirm and something that's dangerous, and then he came along, and Stacey was more critical, saying that she couldn't even watch, and how does he even get into this line of entertainment? But he did get through with 3 yes votes after Stacey was convinced by KSI in the audience to say yes, which I think Epic Sax guy's taken over him a little bit. Just I could not watch this. I honestly could not watch this whatsoever. It was just painful to watch. I don't like how can an act like this go through to the deliberations? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, this is an act I don't want to see again, okay? I don't want to see this again because it's painful and it's not worth it. It's not worth it whatsoever. Again, I'm sure he is a nice guy, but this was not for me. This was just not my cup of tea at all. Now, of course, if there's anyone out there who enjoys this sort of stuff, that's completely fine. But for me, it's a no. Okay, I can't process these sorts of things, these sorts of acts. Like the Lazy Generation was fine because they had such different stuff going on, but this I couldn't get my head around. Like it was just, oh god, it was just interesting to say the least. Anyways, let's just move on to the next act. And next up, we had Various. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that completely wrong, but he is a novelty musician who's aged 49, and he is from Lativa. Lativa, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know where that is. But before his performance, he explained that he plays he's been playing for more than 25 years in the Latvian National Symphony Orchestra, which is very interesting. And he did basically for his audition he played an array of objects including a carrot, an oven, a trombone with like a rubber chicken inside or something, recorders in his nose, which by the way the recorders are literally the worst musical instrument on the planet. I don't know if you guys remember being in primary school having to play the recorders. They are just and also cleaning pipes to the James Bond theme, and I Like to Move a Movement from Madagascar. And so basically his performance, he was buzzed by KSI, Stacey and Alicia, and Amanda mentioned that she was looking for someone who was thinking that the Raw Variety Show needs. And again, the epic sax guy is taking over right now. But Stacey mentioned that she doesn't know if opening and shutting an oven door can is a musical instrument, which fair enough. But if you've seen that meme with the trombone guy and the kid with the oven just going da 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 da, if you know what I'm on about, you'll know. And I just found out he actually auditioned on Latifa's Got Talent back in 2024 and another Got Talent show last year. So he's done 2 Got Talent shows so far, which is interesting. But I don't know what to make of it. I will admit it was quite unique, very interesting to say the least, especially for what he did. But it kind of lost my interest a little bit. Like I don't know why, but it just kind of got boring in a way. And I don't know. I just don't know. But it was just very interesting to say the least. You know, that's all I can say. That's all. Okay. Just wow. Yeah, it's interesting to say the least. But he didn't make it to the next round, which I had a feeling was coming, but I don't know. It just wasn't great in my opinion. But let's move on to Stacey's Golden Buzzer, which was given to the Braunstone Community Primary School, who are a choir and dance group. They are aged 8 to 46, and I actually know the head teacher because he's been on the news quite a few times. He's known as Mr. T, which is an awesome nickname. And when they were asked what they do with the money, one of the members mentioned that he would donate some of it to charity, and also use the remaining stuff to buy himself a Lamborghini. Which, by the way, awesome answer there. And they all believed they could win. And so for their audition, they started off doing All Things Bright and Beautiful, which is a classic school hymn. I'm sure all you UK people who went to school, you'd sing that. You used to sing that song in the assemblies. But then they started raving and doing a dance routine. They started doing this dance routine to Friday Friday and Rhythm of the Night. 2 great songs there. And let me tell you, I could just feel the energy throughout the room watching these guys, and you can tell they were having the best time up there. And Stacey even pressed her golden buzzer after saying, she mentioned that it's the best feeling in the world to see all of them in the semi-finals and to spread joy for millions and millions of people. And of course, she gave them her golden buzzer, which, to be honest with you, was this a golden buzzer performance? I don't know, but I have to say, this brought me the biggest smile to my face watching these guys perform. And that head teacher is an absolute legend as well. So, as I mentioned, they had the good energy, the smiles on their faces, and they should be proud of themselves for each and every one of them. And I can't disagree what KSI said there, because you could tell all of them were having the absolute time of their lives up there. And it just felt like I was watching the happiest thing ever, just seeing all these guys and that guy and the head teacher, just having the time of their lives. And I just love the message behind it, as it just shows that this is inclusive for anyone. Like, because especially because I think in the world there's so much negativity going on in the world right now with stuff, and I think, and it just shows, and this is just real positive stuff here, which I love. That there's so many different types of cultures there. There's black, there's white, there's Muslim, there's other people, different people, like of like skin color, like religion, like everyone of all different walks of life are in this group. And this head teacher has made this idea to like do this thing to make everyone just to basically to have everyone join in, no matter who they are. I think is absolutely brilliant, and I have so much respect for this guy. I think he's an absolute brilliant teacher, brilliant head teacher. And can I just say, I just wish I had a head teacher like that in school. Like, he seems like the coolest head teacher ever. Like, he is awesome. And and again, it was just so fun to watch, and I fully respect every single one of them for doing what they did. I think it's a lovely message, and I'm very excited to see what they bring in the live shows. But I have to say, I think they've actually got the lowest views for a golden buzzer so far this series. They've currently have, at the time of doing this episode here, they currently have 65k views, and in terms of the other ones, like Matty J, he's nearly at 6 million views. Ted Hill is ranking to 1 million. All the other golden buzzers are nearly at some of them are nearly at 1 million views, and so they're quite low in them, which is quite worrying. But I'm interested to see what they do in the live show, because I really think they are an absolute ball of energy, so much positivity, and and again, I have so much respect for them for doing what they did, and again, I have a lot of respect for them, and I thought they were just an absolute joy to watch. And finally, we had the last performance of the night, which was Nick Vanny, who is a singer. He's aged 41 years old. He's a singer. He hails from South Africa, but now lives in Kent. And when he was asked about his dream, he mentioned that he was always a backup singer in his music career, and he wanted this moment to be in the spotlight, essentially. And so he performed a rendition of The Circle of Life from The Lion King. And by the way, what a brilliant song that is. And I love The Lion King. It's an absolute brilliant film. And my goodness me, this was probably the perfect way to end off the night on this guy, because he was amazing. So Amanda mentioned that he's got such an amazing voice, and he really made that song his own. And Chaos, I mentioned he wasn't in the thick of it; he was made for it, or something like that, and that he's in the spotlight now. And Alicia mentioned that she can't wait to see more for him, and he deserves to be on the front of that stage, which I completely agree. Like, and to be honest with you, I mentioned earlier that I really wanted the Welsh Masters team to get. I mentioned that the Welsh Masters team were my golden buzzer, but I was shocked in a way that he didn't get the golden buzzer, because I thought he was amazing. I thought he so deserved a golden buzzer right here. This was a golden buzzer performance. I think he has just got an absolutely brilliant voice, and that song suited his voice so well. It was perfect for him, and he's got that voice that belongs on the West End or something like that. This was an absolutely amazing way to end off the night. I think I definitely think he's definitely a possible finalist contender, and he was absolutely incredible, and just easily my top 3 of the night without question. I thought he was absolutely incredible, and once again, an amazing way to end off the night. So before we end off the episode here, let's talk about my week 6 draft here. So in the finalist category, I have the Welsh Masters team, because I honestly think they have what it takes to honestly be a possible finalist. And I thought their audition was, for me, the best act of the episode, and they were just incredible. And the second one I have is Nick Vanny Varney, if that's how you pronounce his second name. And again, I think I'd be shocked right now if he wasn't a finalist, because again, his audition was just incredible, and just he's got definitely one of my favorite voices of the series so far. And then in the semi-finals category, I have Maverick Magicians, because I think, seeing how well Magic has done over the years, I think there could be real dark horses going into the live shows. I would love to see what they do in the lives. I have Kristen Herrera in the semi-finals category, and I have the Braunstone Community Primary School in the semi-finals as well. I don't know. I think they are good at what they do, but I don't know if they will be in the finals. I don't think. But then for the deliberations, I have Leroy Patterson and Asco, which I think they could make the live shows. But again, I think how will they up the ante if they do make it? Like, that's the one thing I'm worried about. But overall, this is my draft for week 6. And towards the end of the audition episodes, I'll probably do my updated finalist predictions before we go to the live shows, probably on the Monday possibly. But overall, this is my week 6 draft here, and I'm hoping to be correct on at least one of them going into the live shows. So there you have it. As my review for week 6 of the BGT auditions for Series 19. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Who are your favourite acts of the night? Did you give the golden buzzer? And if not, who would you have given your golden buzzer to? So next week, Amanda is pressing her golden buzzer for next episode, and I actually know the act she presses it for, and I cannot wait for this act in particular, because from what I've heard, they are an incredible act, and I'm so excited to see them. And yeah, I can't believe we're getting close to the end of the auditions already. It's honestly, it's flown by this series already, but I've been enjoying every single moment of it, and I cannot wait to get into the live shows in a few weeks' time. But anyways, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and remember to follow my podcast and download this episode if you're listening on Spotify. But once again, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of my Britain's Got Talent Series 19, Episode 6, week 6 auditions and review. And of course, I'll see you guys next time.